There really is nowhere else in Australia that you'd want to study the Pacific. The Australian National University has long been home to the largest concentration of people who work in the Pacific in Australia, and perhaps the second largest in the world. One of the things this course does is to make the Pacific real in Australia. So we both teach people about the Pacific based on the fabulous resources that we have here in Canberra, but we also run field schools which take students into the region to engage with communities, to engage with policymakers in the region.
The Graduate Certificate program is designed to give practicing professionals and students who are aspiring to work in the Pacific an introduction to the socio-political, cultural and history of the Pacific region, to give them the tools that they need to engage cross-culturally in an empathetic way with cultural communities and Pacific nations.
It's no longer enough to talk about the Pacific region as though it's somehow homogenous or single. It's actually enormously complex and enormously varied. And introducing people to that wealth of cultures, of histories, of languages is part of what makes people's work that much more effective in the region.
The Australian National University is the first university in the world to offer the Tokpesan language minor. We are actually the first school to offer a Melanesian Creole, a language minor, and it's offered entirely online. Tokpesan is widely spoken in Papua New Guinea over English. Over 6 million people speak it. It is very, very important to learn this language if you're going to be effective in policy making. So Tokpesan is the medium through which people will understand Papua New Guinea.
There are a number of career pathways that students can take after completing this program, including government agencies, non-profit organisations, private businesses, various industries that are engaging with the Pacific, and also other research institutions.
We've had students end up running entire sections of UNESCO in Paris. We've had students go on to teach Pacific Studies at the University of Hawaii and various other places. We've had students go on to become senior members of government, both in Australia and in the region.
To see traditional practices in place that have worked and are working for the people that live in those particular areas and how they've adapted that into a modern society. It's really shaping the questions that we can ask about how people will be living in these regions in the next 100 or 1,000 years.
When you understand the language of a people, you are also showing respect. You cultivate an empathy. And through empathy, you get to understand people better and they get to understand you better. And it's like an invitation to be part of that society.
The university here has such a high density of experts that work in the Pacific across a range of different disciplines.
People who study humanities, we are their compass. We go back and we track changes and we actually guide humanity to the future. We have transferable skills that is wanted everywhere in the employment sectors. It is the foundation of our societies. We cannot do without humanities.